I'm going to resume recording. Okay, so today I wanted to talk. First, we're going to start about kind of what my job is as a coach. And this comes from Keller Williams. I know it says Consultor CE. That's just the graphic I stole, but this is straight out of Keller Williams Maps Models and Coaching Skills Camp. The difference between a coach, a consultant, and a mentor, and why that is important to you. Then we're going to go into goal setting and your economic model for today. So, with that being said, hold on. There we go. That's what I wanted. I just want to make sure I can see you guys. Right now, I can't see you. Okay, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, oh wait, hold on. There we go. That's what I want. No, bear with me. That's what I want. Uh-oh. Now my screen's not sharing anymore. I can't see the participants. Why can't I see the participants? That's all I want to see.
On the top
Ah,
right, you
I
see it?
found it. It went away for a minute, but now it's back. Kind of back. That's good enough. Okay, so the whole point of this is how and why this can be successful for you. So actually, close. Too many windows open. Uh, Sometimes we get questions that kind of cross into different areas. So, for example, if you've never logged into the MLS, a mentor is somebody that's going to sit down with you and walk you through how to log into the MLS. A coach isn't necessarily going to do that. They're actually going to point you into the resources to show you where to go to get training on how to operate the MLS. The reason why we focus on the coach side of things is because it creates more of a we are in this together uh, mantra, for lack of a better word, rather than me just teaching you. Because what we don't want is a codependency. We don't want you reliant on a mentor or somebody to show you how to do things. Rather, we want to teach you how to fish. It's that old mantra of if I teach a man to fish, he'll never be hungry again a day in his life, versus if I fish for you and feed you, now you're only relying on me fishing for you. And now sometimes it comes off as like, I don't want to help you. And that's not necessarily the case. So if there ever is a time where you're like, look, I've looked for the resources, I can't find them. I just need you to show me once and I'll be good. Nicole Jones is great at this, where she will say, I've looked here, I've looked here, I've looked here. I can't seem to find the answer. Can you help me? And that typically results in a much better interaction between the two of us, because then I can say, okay, cool. Let me sit down and walk you through this together, and then I'll show you where I learned it from. Or it's a telltale sign to me that says we need better resources, or we need more videos, or we need more access to help on these type of things. Now, the biggest thing with this is my job as a coach is to help you discover your own answers, because everybody on this call learns differently. Some of us learn better by doing it side by side somebody else. Some of us are able to listen to something and repeat it, and that's called an auditory listener. And then some of us are more visual learners, where we need to see a video, or we can watch a video and we can learn from the video, or we need to be in a classroom. And my job as a coach is to facilitate all of those different learning styles so we all build the best practices together. Now, the biggest piece of this whole kind of chart that I want you to take away from it, though, is I'm going to hold you accountable. And that kind of leads into what Katrin was talking about at the beginning, which is this tracker. Now, this tracker is the same exact tracker that I use with my coach and that I've used for the last 7 or 8 years of real estate. Now, I've been doing it for 13. Um, I've used other trackers in the past, but this is basically the same one that I've been using since like 2018, 2017. The reason why is all of these metrics that we're tracking on here are what we call lead measures or lead indicators. So if we do the right activities that we have on this tab, it will translate to the results that we want for our business. Now, the results that we want, you're going to figure out today slash with your homework. So we want to be tracking, did we add to the database and how many? We also want to be tracking how many conversations we had, like we just talked about with open houses. The more conversations we can have, the better. If you are brand new, your goal should be 5 conversations a day that you work about real estate. Now, it's a two-way street. So texting counts as long as they text back. Phone calls count as long as they answer the phone and you have a conversation with them. Leaving a voicemail or leaving a text that gets read and doesn't get replied to does not count. That's why we call it conversations. We're setting appointments. We're going on those appointments. We're getting agreements signed. We're getting things under contract, and we're having closings. Now, what I want you to realize and what we can start practicing is every single week, you can pick the day depending on your work schedule, but you'll come into here, you'll find your tab on the bottom with your name, and you'll put your numbers in. Now, everybody's name looks, or everybody's tab looks the same. What you will do is you'll put in this week. So you'll say, okay, 12/15 through 12/22, which is next Monday. And then you'll record your results. You can decide what works best for you, whether you do this daily and you just add your tallies or you do it once a week. It's totally up to you. What a lot of people do, and what I did in the beginning, was I would take the tracker and kind of put it on a piece of paper, put it in my planner or my calendar, and hand write the activities every single day. So I'm kind of keeping tally marks. And then at the end of the week, I'll go input it. What I do now is I actually have a digital tracker. Actually, I can show you to you. It looks like this, where I'm keeping track of my tallies. And then I go back and I'm like, okay, this was last week. Now I need to update the date. But this was last week's numbers. And then I come back over here and I start a new week. So you can see this is the exact same thing as what you guys are doing. And mine's a little bit more specific between listing agreement, buyer agreement, listing under contract, buyer under contract. It's the same concept. What you will eventually get to is listing appointment, buyer appointment, listing held, listing or buyer held. Right now, we just care about setting appointments. If you are new and you have no production, appointments for the beginning can also be you met with somebody that could be a potential client or a potential referral partner down the road, because we want to get used to meeting with people hand in hand or first face to face where we're building those relationships up. So if I start seeing 3 or 4 appointments set and 3 or 4 appointments held, that's okay. We'll have conversations about, okay, what are those appointments looking like? How are those conversations going? Does that make sense? Does everybody kind of get that as we're going through?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So play with that. You should have gotten an email with it. Again, find your name on the bottom. Make sure you're not editing somebody else's. The home page is a tab, and it'll remind you, find your name on the tab on the bottom, update weekly. I recommend the day before your next week starts. So like if you work a Monday through Friday, then do it on a Saturday or a Sunday to start that next Monday through Friday. If you work weekends because you're dual career, then do it at the end of the weekend before you start your week up with your new job or your other job, your dual career job. It's kind of up to you. It's not meant to be a rocket science. So, cool. All right. So, like I was just saying, my role as a coach is to point you in the right direction of resources and help you find those, to hold you accountable, help you set goals and plan for those goals, share best practices. These are not only my best practices, these are also best practices from like other agents that have done things in the past, which we'll talk about today. Part of my role, or my beauty of the way my role is situated, is I'm a part of KW Max, which is Keller Williams Coaching Company, which has coaches within Keller Williams across the country. So I have a little bit more hands-on access to resources for coaching best practices that work. So it doesn't have to be my ideas. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm sharing things that work. And a lot of what we do is modeled off of that. Strategy, objection handling. We'll talk more about this. Part of this is also designed in our market center with things like role play, where one of the things I got over the weekend from Katrin was more access to like scripts and dialogue practice, which we will start building into the new year, because I think that's important. A lot of us hesitate on having conversations because we don't know what to say. And so sometimes practicing that or learning that will help. And then the most important, this is not obviously in priority order, but the most important thing of all would be lead generate. I do not care if you know how to write a contract if you have nobody to write a contract for. And so our number one focus as any agent of any experience level should be lead generate. Now, the one thing for you as a part of coaching is to show up for yourself. If you show up each day, your results will follow. This is the same like kind of tentative calendar that was shared via email last week. It was also put in the Facebook group. Thank you, Katrin. For those of you that are on there, if you're not on the Facebook group, see me or Katrin and make sure we can add you to that. It's just a little closed group where we keep track or keep in communication with just us as coaches, or those of us that are in the coaching group. It's not the whole KW Metro Center world like the other Facebook group is. On Monday, we do our Zoom calls like we're on right now. Tuesdays, go to the KW meeting if you can. There's a lot of good value that is shared there, both from a vendor perspective, via sponsorship, We do panels. You hear from expert agents. We do training. We do rules. We do broker insights, coaching corners. There's a lot of good stuff that comes in that. Wednesdays for now should be focused on lead generating. Thursdays, if we do not have a KW training, that should also be lead generate. Now, what's a little different in our market center versus some of the other market centers in Keller Williams world is the model for Keller Williams is Tuesday team meetings, Thursday trainings. That's just the model is how it's always been. Metro Center is a little bit different because a lot of times our trainings overlap with the Northern Virginia offices. What I mean by that is the Northern Virginia offices might have a training on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and we get the Wednesday or the Thursday the next day because we're paying for that master faculty member. So sometimes we have we have KW trainings on a Wednesday versus a Thursday or a Tuesday after the team meeting. When that happens, I'll help you know whether it's worth going to or not. There is a philosophy or a principle called paralysis by classroom, meaning we are in too much training that we're not allowing ourselves to actually implement anything or to spend time on the right activities that are needed. This is very strategically planned out where you are spending about an hour a day in training and the rest of the time is left open to lead generate, go on appointments, meet people, open house prep, all the things we've been talking about that we'll continue to talk about. As you become more experienced, it is okay if you have to miss certain things, especially if it's for business producing activities. So, for example, I can't be at the KW meeting tomorrow because I have a showing, is an example. Or I can't make role play to payday at 9 a.m. because I'm on a home inspection. So, some of those things are okay. That is also why we have the big resource library that we do. And obviously, things come up where we have to move coaching or miss a coaching session or snow days, etc. So we have something every single day that you can be focusing on. It would also be in your best interest if you found a buddy in the coaching program that you can meet with, that you can role play with, especially if you can't make the Fridays. Sometimes role play gets, it seems overwhelming because we think we have to have this perfect script or memorize this script. It's just practicing conversations. Even if two of you met tomorrow and decided to role play and you had no idea what to talk about, the two of you meeting and just saying, expressing to each other what your questions or your fears are and having conversations about real estate can be beneficial because then you can bring that back to the group. So you might say, hey, Katrin and Latoya met and they realize that they have no idea how to answer the hurdle of I want to list my house, but it's priced too high. And or I want to buy a house now, but I want to wait for interest rates to come down. And those type of things that come up are great talking points for us in group coaching. Yeah, Katrin, go ahead.
Yes, so this is the reason when I texted you, I was wondering, I drive a lot, in between,
Yes.
whatever. I would love to have an audio that I can put on, like one of these, I don't know, something to listen to, and then there is a script going, and you can repeat it over and over and over, and you can just listen to it over and over and over. I would love to do it like on my own. I know I'm not able to make it Friday, role play to payday, but do we have any type of recordings? This is what I was looking for.
Yeah, I gather that's what you were talking about. I'll have to look because the challenge is Keller Williams as a whole does not believe in scripts. They believe in dialogues and practice and internalizing it. And really, that's kind of real estate wide right now. Like there's been a lot of feedback that scripts have become robotic or inauthentic. Now Glover does do a lot of scripts, so there's still some people out there that firmly believe in it. What I would recommend is there is a book called Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones, and there's a real estate specific one. I would recommend getting that on Audible and listening to it over and over and over again. If you do not have Audible, it's relatively inexpensive. They're running a lot of deals right now. If you have Amazon, that's who owns it, Amazon Prime. So you can get some good deals on there. I would recommend starting there. In the meantime, I'll find other options too, whether it's an audiobook, whether it's podcasts, whether it's things like that. I do a lot of that myself. I listen to a lot of audiobooks and a lot of podcasts, especially real estate specific or just sales specific in general. But that's a great point. It's a great talking point, especially those of us that are in the car a lot. You will be listening to things over and over and over again, and that will help you build some confidence too. Latoya, did you want to add something? I saw you come off mute.
Yeah, what was that Audible that book you recommended?
It's called Exactly What to Say And it might be a
Okay.
longer title than that. It might be like exactly what to say, or for real estate agents or something of that effect. Um, but it's by
Thank
Phil
you.
Jones. Yeah. 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 All right, cool. So, um, as I was just saying, there are models. Success leaves clues. So much. Actually, we'll start here. We'll move this up because this will make more sense as we go. So, success leaves clues. There are successful business owners, real estate professionals, mortgage lenders, etc., who have done what we want to do. So much so that Gary Keller wrote a book about it about 20 some odd years ago with Dave Jenks, may he rest in peace, and Jay Papasan. It's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's a red book. I recommend everybody get one and read it. And you should read it multiple times. Now, that is a book you should get and read. Don't do audio because there's a lot of graphs and figures in there, and it will sound very confusing when they say, if you notice in figure 4.4, blah, 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 blah. You go, I can't notice because I'm driving. So I would recommend getting one of these. You can go on like World of Books or Thrift Books or any of these like used book online sites and get them for like $5 to $7. It does not have to be a brand new edition. If you want a brand new edition, you can do that too. The biggest key here, though, is there are plenty of examples out there that have done what we want to do and they've shared their experiences, and we can model our businesses after what they have done. Everyone, regardless of industry, has a natural ability or how much they can achieve without models and systems. That's what that natural ability means. Whether it's you're a natural salesman, or you're a natural business owner, or you're a natural planner. All of us have a ceiling that we can reach. If we build on models and fundamentals that we know have worked for other people, we can then add our natural ability or our creative twist to grow those models. And we know we're not going to fail or fall backwards because we have sustainable models that will help us achieve where we want to go. The best example of this is the first model of a business, which is called the economic model, which is what we're going to talk about today. It's your numbers. It's how do we know, what do we do, or what are the numbers we need to achieve the net income we want to desire? Now, these are the four fundamentals of a business, or four fundamental models of a business. These are straight out of the MREA. We're going to talk about the economic model today. Next week, we're going to talk about the lead generation model. Those are the two most important. If anything in coaching, that's what I want to instill in you. Now, I told you at the beginning, and most of you know this already, I've been in the business for about 13 years, going on 14. I learned these models in 2021. So I got in the business in 2012. I had sold probably 150 houses before I learned these models, and I was living paycheck to paycheck. Once I learned these models, not only did I start to run like a business, that business failed. I rebuilt it, and 2025 was my best year personal volume year ever. Despite the market in 2021, despite the market in 2022, I had my best volume year ever in 2025. The number one reason why is because I operated 100% on model, and I stuck to the plan. Excuse me. I made this business plan last year, and I operated on all year long. Now, it changed a few times because I had a member on my team. He's no longer on my team. I've prioritized some things, and yet the fundamental economic model and lead generation model stayed the same. The other thing that's cool is if your goals do shift up or down, you can plug and play. What I mean by model is it's math, and it's simple math. There are conversion rates. It will tell us exactly how many houses we need to sell in order to make the money we want to make. And then the lead generation model will tell us how many appointments we need to go on to sell that many houses to make the money we want to make. We can even go all the way back to that tracker and say, how many conversations do I need to have to go on the appointments I need to go on, to get the agreements I need to get signed, to sell the houses I want to sell, to make the money I want to make. Now, all of this is to be said because of goal planning. The reason why we want to make the money we want to make is because of what's called your big why. Now, Gary Keller has this famous saying, it's become more famous, and I am obsessed with it, where he says, there's no such thing as making too much money. And then he pauses and he says, because there's no such thing as how much money you could give away. So a lot of times we have this little bit of negative connotation on making too much money because we think that means material things. And that's not necessarily the case. If you can articulate a strong, big why, that will push you to reach goals that you never thought fathomable. Now, if you notice on this slide, it says, why do you do what you do? The reason for the name of this coaching company is when I ask people this question, they say, I want to make more money. And I say, how much money do you want to make? And 9 times out of 10, they say 6 figures or $100,000. So 6 figures by design became the intentional name for here's how we're going to do this via real estate. And when I say make 6 figures, I mean net 6 figures. After expenses, after taxes, you will net $100,000 or more. However, there's another deeper layer to that. When I say how much money do you want to make and somebody says $100,000, I say why? Or why is that important to you? Or what does that mean to you? If you tell me your big why is your family, I'm going to ask you, what does that mean to you? What are your goals for your family? What would it look like for you to achieve that? Now, my big why has shifted over the years. And now I can articulate it as not only is my big why my wife and my daughters, it is I want to be able to say yes to any experience, purchase, trip, vacation, gift, anything they ask to, I want to be able to say yes to. There is no experience worth not having or not being able to afford. I want to be able to contribute to anything they ask for. Part of that is also being able to provide a life where my wife can stay home and homeschool. And so I can very clearly look at an economic model and determine, okay, how much money do I need to make in order for me to be the sole income of the family and be able to say yes to all the trips and be able to say yes to a vacation and be able to say yes to the new car, family vehicle, or the new clothes or the eating out once a week or whatever it may be. And the clearer you are on this number or this why, the easier your numbers and your goals will come out. And it should scare you. That's okay. You should go big. Your big why for a reason. Now, when I send the recap out for today, you're going to get a form that's attached to it called Life by Design form. It will give you different categories of where expenses could be. Everything from like your monthly housing payment, whether you own or rent, your car payment, if you have that, meals, grocery, entertainment, gas, clothes. I mean, anything you can possibly think of is going to go on there. And it's even going to have some categories for other that you may add on there, like gym memberships, hair appointments or barbershop or nails, etc. I want you to come up with all of the numbers in your lifestyle category. And then you're going to do your debt category. We'll talk about investments in a second. Now, your debt category is everything beside your house. So it's your credit cards, it's your car payments, it's student loans. Your house is not necessarily in debt because we just did it in our lifestyle payment. You got to live somewhere. And if you own your house, it's going in lifestyle. If you're renting, you can put it in debt either way. But if you own a house, we want to practice what we preach. That's an asset because it's accumulating value. It's appreciating over time. That's what we tell our clients. We need to believe the same thing. If you own your house, you're making a mortgage payment, it's not a debt because the asset value is going up over time. Everything else is going down. Then you're going to have an investment category. Now, if you don't have any investments, we want to start saving for retirement. We want to talk about that at a later date. But B, even if you don't have anything in this category, if you add these two numbers up and divide in half, that'll give you a very, very good investment account to strive for. Now, the lifestyle Life by Design form we were just talking about is going to add up your, you want to do monthly. So add up your monthly expenses. And then your debt, same thing, add up your monthly expenses. You can also do annually and then divide by 12 if you know that better. But your investment's going to kind of be the same thing. How much money should I be putting away every month to save for my future? Whether that's retirement, whether that's 529s or education accounts for kids, whether that's buying investment properties, whether that's putting it into the market, you get to decide. I'm not a CPA or a financial advisor. Talk with them to help decide what your best strategy is, but we want to start saving it. Now, if you add up all of these numbers, that is what's called your lid. That is the income you want to make to live your life by design. Now, we just talked about it being monthly. If you're doing it monthly, multiply by 12. That is your annual income. That's your goal. This is going to be part of your homework for next week. You want to come up with your lid number. Then what we're going to do is we're going to plug that lid number into the economic model. Now, the economic model has two parts. The first one is what I call the 30-30-40. You will also hear people call it 40-30-30. Beth will also call it 30-30-40. We joked about this last week. The 40 is your profit. So that lid model, that number is your 40. You're going to put that in the 40% category. If you take that number, divide by 0.4, it's going to give you your total gross commission that you need to make. Your gross commission is the total money you make after all of your sales. Maybe I'm on a work call. I need to check out. The 30% categories are expenses and cost of sale. We'll talk about those in another time. For sake of time, I want to keep moving as far as how many houses we need to sell. Does anybody have any kind of questions so far? Cool. So if we have this lid number that you're going to calculate in your homework, you're going to take that total number annually and divide it by 0.4, and it's going to spit out a big number at you. You're then going to move over to what's called the economic model. This is the actual economic model. This is straight out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And if you notice, it's called the Millionaire Real Estate Agent because we want to net $1 million. So this is later in the book. But whatever your lid number is, you're going to put at the top. And you're going to put net income with 40% in parentheses, and you're going to put your lid income. Now, in that recap email, you'll get a blank economic model as well, so you'll be able to do this. You're going to divide that number by 0.4, and it's going to give you your total GCI, which is your total gross commission income. When you sell a house, a commission check comes in to Keller Williams. That is your gross commission income. I understand splits come out and expenses and referral fees and all the things. That is what's accounted for in these two categories. So we're going to use the gross number at the top. The average gross commission income in our market is about $12,000. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. If you are brand new and never sold a house, I would recommend going a little bit under that and do like $10,000 for two reasons. Number one, it's easy math. And number two, typically our first few houses are a little bit lower price points. Just happens to work that way. And you can always go up. Now, what that average commission amount is going to go right here where it says $7,150. So if you want to put 7,000, you can. If you want to put 8,000, you can. If you want to put 10,000, you can. I would not go above 12,000 because that's the average for the market. You will then divide the total gross commission income by the average commission amount, and that's going to tell you how many houses you need to sell to net the lid volume you want to net. This is also going to be part of your homework. Now, I'll show you real quickly. This is what mine looks like for next year. Now, I have multiple other businesses. So my units sold is less than it needs to be for my lid income because I have other businesses, such as coaching. However, you can see where this number came through. This was the net income divided by 0.4 gives me a total GCI. Divided by average commission fee gives me a unit number. You are then going to decide how many of those sales are going to come from listings and how many are going to come from, why is it not scrolling over? Oh, how many are going to come from buyers? The goal is to get to 50-50 as a solo agent. Technically, the goal is to get higher on the listing side than the buyer side. However, if you are brand new, it is easier to get buyer leads than it is seller leads. I would recommend weighting heavier on this side. Even in 13 years in the business, I'm at about 70% buyer side, 30% listing, maybe 65-35. Now, because I have these other businesses and I have other goals, I have to do more listings. That is, that listings provide leverage for a couple of reasons. And that is also in the book. Now, what listings provide is sign calls, meaning people are calling on that sign to ask about that house, AKA buyer leads. Some of you have received some of them from my listings. They provide open house opportunities. They provide social media and digital marketing because you have a listing. You can share those photos. You can market it online and people can inquire about it and generate leads. You can also handle on average 7 times more listings at a given time than buyers. I've asked this question when I teach business planning clinic before. On average, you can handle about, I think it's 4 to 6 buyers a month. It might be 7 to 8 now, buyers per month, where you can handle about 19 to 20, if not more, listings per month as a solo agent without help. You can handle a lot more listings. The obvious reason why is you're not driving around showing houses to those listings. Now, if you don't know, use 50-50 or use 60-40 on the buyer side. Maybe go a little bit more conservative there. From there, you're going to do some math. Now, we will walk through this again together next week before the lead gen model. I want you to work on it as homework and then email me your economic model. So again, just quick reminder. We're at 40% is our lid volume. That's how much money we want to make for our lifestyle, investments, and debt. Annually, add all these numbers up, put it here. Divide by 0.4 gives you this number. Total GCI. Divide your total GCI by your average commission amount. If you don't know, do 10 grand. It makes it easy math. Now, if you get a decimal number here, like 34.5, round up. It's always good to err on the aggressive side. So round up. You also can't sell a half a house. So then your total units, you're going to divide into the two categories. So if we're doing 50-50, whatever your number is here, you're going to put that number into total seller listings sold, because that number times 0.5 or divided by 50%. And same thing over here. Then we're going to work our way down. So we're going to look at a sold conversion rate. For the seller side, this is what percentage of our listings went on the market, went under contract, and closed. All three of those things need to take place. It is the sold conversion rate. So the percent of listings on the market that go closed units, on average, across all the agents that have been interviewed for the MREA, is 70%. On the buyer side, this is buyer brokerage agreements signed all the way to closings. So you got a buyer broker agreement signed, you've been showing them houses, you put it under contract, you got through the inspection, you got through the appraisal, and it closed. That's also about 70%. That's probably a little bit higher in today's rate, and so is this. However, it was really high the last couple of years, and now it's trending back down towards more normal averages. What I mean by that is the fallout rate of contracts is going up. More houses are coming back on the market. More buyers are walking over inspection issues or walking over financing or appraisal issues. So it's not a bad practice to use 70%. If you close at a higher rate, this number is going to go up, which means you're going to sell more houses. So it's okay to err on the side of caution or conservative here, and then let that number be higher in the long run. That's a good thing. Now, as you do this year over year, you'll start to get your own conversion rates. So we take this number, we divide it by 70%, also known as multiply by 0.7. No, excuse me, divide by 0.7. It should be going up. Divide by 0.7, the number is going to go up. In other words, 70% of the total buyer brokerage agreements we have signed are going to close. 70% of the total listings we take are going to close. Then you're going to do it one more time for appointments. Now, I would use 75% on appointments for both of these just to keep it consistent. That's the number of appointments you go on translates to an agreement. These numbers should never be 100%, because if they are, it's telling me that I need to go on more appointments. If I'm getting every appointment I go on, I need to challenge myself to go on more appointments, because when we don't get it, that's a learning lesson for us. And that means we're growing and we're stretching ourselves. And it means we're going on enough appointments. 75% is a good number because that's saying I get 3 out of 4. It doesn't necessarily mean you lose it to another agent. Sometimes buyers decide to not look. Sometimes sellers decide to not sell. So you're not going to get all of them that go to listing or go to buyer brokerage agreement getting signed. So again, take this total needed, divided by 0.75 or divided by 0.75, and it's going to give you your total seller and buyer appointments needed. Divide that number by 12, gives you how many a month. Divide that number by 4, gives you how many a week. And these are numbers that we can hold accountable to. We go back to our tracker, And this is how many appointments set and held we need every week. Now, this number is huge. 350 total units nets you $1 million. None of us are there yet. And so to give you just a little bit more realistic of one, to sell 36 units, it's about 3 appointments a month or less than 1 a week for each side. So if I go on 1 appointment a week for each side, so 1 seller appointment and 1 buyer appointment a week, I should sell this amount, assuming these conversion rates. Now, these are my actual conversion rates. So that's why they're a little bit higher than the screen. These are the 2 things I want you to work on for homework: your lid and your economic model. It does not have to be perfect. I will help walk you through this. I have been teaching this for 6 years. So that's why I can recite this. We will walk through it together, individually and as a group. This is just another slide showing kind of those same things. We generate leads to go on appointments. Some of those appointments convert to signed agreements. Some of those signed agreements convert to sold product, sold listings, sold buyers. That generates the income we need to generate. Are there any questions on what I just talked about? That was a lot, I know. Okay, so
Austin,
yeah,
there's one thing.
Go ahead.
So
Yes.
as dual career agents, and I wanted to bring it up because we do have several on the calls as well. These numbers are literally meant to be that you're working 40 to 60 hours a week in real estate. Now, since you are a dual career agent, you might gonna have lower numbers. Your net income gonna be definitely lower because you do not spend 40 to 60 hours in real estate a week.
So here's how you handle that. That's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. When you calculate your lid exercise, subtract what you make from your other career.
Okay.
Now, if you plan on leaving your other career for real estate full time, do 2 economic models. So what I mean by that is calculate this number, whatever that may be, and then your first economic model, this number at the top is going to be your lid minus what you make from your other job. And that'll tell you how many houses you need to sell while staying in that career to make the lid. Then you're going to do it again without subtracting your salary from your other career and figure out how many houses you need to sell to only work in real estate to make your lid. Now, I resonate with dual career people. I understand it probably more than most. The first agent that I ever hired on my team, she joined my team at 30, maybe 31 years old. She had always worked 2, if not 3 jobs since she was 15 to make ends meet. She got into real estate because she said, I'm tired of doing this and I want to make enough money where all I have to do is real estate. Within 12 months, she had left every other job and she was making over $100,000 on my team because we made a plan and we stuck to it. And now she is a solo agent making probably around $200,000 a year, if not more, by doing these things. So if you are dual career and you have a plan on leaving, we can make that happen. It's not going to happen right away. I will work you through that. I'm not saying quit your job right away. Some of us like our dual career. They want to continue down the path that they're on, and real estate is more of a additional income stream or something they're passionate about, and they want to build businesses simultaneously. That is okay too. You will be able to devote more time being full-time in real estate. However, that comes with a little bit of a cost, which is 100% commission. So I understand we have to work through that. So what you can do is do both in the meantime, and then we'll develop a plan together, such as maybe we can scale back our hours at the other place as our real estate business grows. Depends on the job, obviously. But great point. Some of us also experience seasonality. So like a teacher, they're off in the summer. So we're going to do what we can to maximize those summer months. Katrin, you have a couple busy seasons throughout the year. It's not that you don't work. It's just February, March, and April get chaotic. And then again, kind of extension time period too. So you have seasons where it's very hard to do real estate, and then you have seasons where it's a lot more flexible. And then it changes. Same thing with Nicole Jones, who's tied up in a dual career thing right now. She works for the Department of Defense, Department of War, whatever you want to call it. She has certain times where she just cannot be on her phone or cannot be available. Yet her goal is to leave there. So when we walk through this, she's going to do an economic model, staying in her job and leaving her job. The point of this and the power of this model, too, is it quickly tells us, oh, I don't need that many appointments to go on in order to hit my goals. Now, we have to hit these conversion rates. We have to go on the right type of appointments. Sometimes that takes time to get there. But if we can illuminate them, and you just saw it, to make $300,000 a year, you need to go on one appointment a week, one seller appointment, one buyer appointment, or 2 appointments a week to make $300,000 a year. I think a lot of us would leave our full-time job if we knew that was the case. So we can walk slowly. It's about 1 appointment a week to make like $150,000 a year. Cool. All right. One last thing. We mentioned at the very beginning, there's the thing called the cycle of real estate. Real estate, unfortunately, is not an instant gratification business. What I mean by that is, hold on, let me figure out how to get to you guys again so I can see your face. There we go. So cycle of real estate. Activities that we do today are going to produce results in like February, March. If you think about it, it's obvious. If I get a listing today, it's not going to go under contract today. We're going to have to do photos. We're going to have to do marketing. We're going to have to put the sign in the yard, do an open house, et cetera, et cetera. Even if it were to go under contract very, very quickly, meaning like in a week, it's going to be 30 to 40 days before it closes, which means 30 to 40 days before I get paid. The average buyer lifespan is probably about 30 to 60 days, meaning from when I meet a buyer to going under contract. Some are longer, some are faster. But if I meet a buyer at an open house on Sunday and they're ready to look and they're already pre-approved, it still might take a few weeks of showing houses to get them under contract. And so I say that because the activities you do today will translate to money in February or March. So we want to start now. That's why we business plan sooner, so we can go after 2026 results now. It's not to say you can't put something under contract this week that would close in January or sooner, but typically there's a cycle that occurs. That's also why you see real estate realtors business go like this: up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Because we spend time generating business opportunities, also known as lead generating. So we're going up, then we spend time servicing those people, meaning we're doing the inspections, we're doing the appraisals, we're doing all the things, and we forget to lead generate. And then we have to ramp it up again because now we don't have any clients. And so you'll have 4 closings in December and none in January. And then you'll have 2 in February and then none in March, and then 3 in April and then none in May. And so my job as your coach is to help level that off and make it a little bit more consistent. At the same time, very rarely does it happen where if my goal is 36 units for the year, I sell 3 every single month. It's not a perfect science, as nice as that would be for our income. So just bear in mind with that. So what we want to do is we want to start every day with the big ball or the big hurdle, which is lead generate. If you can build a plan now when you're not busy to focus on lead generating some every single day, that will allow you to scale at an easier rate, and you're not going to have those peaks and valleys. Cool. Any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? Okay. I know that was a little weird because there's a lot of numbers via screen.
I have a question.
Yes.
As you know, I'm new. So last week I received all my access to everything like the MLS and SentryLock, all of that. I have training this week for MLS, and then I have the ethics training next month. So I already went on I already did 2 shadowings already, and I just need to co-host. So I'm just trying to figure out, and I'm going to all the Ignite training. I'm here every Monday, and I'm doing like the command training and everything like that. So I'm just trying to figure out, as a new agent, what do I need to focus on? Because of course I'm not getting listings or doing my own open houses, and I'm just not out there like other agents because I'm new and I just got access and all this other stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So what should I be focused on?
Number one, you're doing all the right things. When you join an office and you're waiting for your license to come in, that's the time to do all the things that you've been doing. So in kind of props or kudos to you is before your license came in, you wouldn't have been able to do any of that stuff anyways. Like you wouldn't have been able to host your own open house. You wouldn't have been able to get listings or to show buyers because your license hadn't come in yet. Now that it has, you have the ability to do so and look at kind of the foundation you've been laying. You've been doing the right stuff. The MLS training will help you show a lot of where you can like look for properties on the market and do a lot of different things. Keep showing up to coaching like you are. The next step is going to be building a database or building contacts that you can have conversations with, which is everything we're going to talk about next week. So the goal of today's session was let's try to get a general idea of how many houses I want to sell to make the money I want to make to live a perfect life or live a life by design. It should be a big number. It should scare you. It's going to be kind of hard to reach that goal, especially in your first year, and that's okay. Gary Keller says we set goals so we can become the person it takes to achieve those goals. We don't necessarily set goals to sell that many houses or to achieve those goals. My goal at the beginning of 2025 was 50 houses. I sold 26 and the coaching roster sold 22. So we did 48. That's pretty close. Next year it's 36. I got to find a way to get bigger and grow more. Personally. The coaching goals we're still working on. But that's what we're going to do next week is we're going to take everyone's goals and add them up. And I'm going to go, okay, if everybody in coaching that did their economic model like they were supposed to hit their goals, how many houses would we sell as a coaching unit? And by the way, it's going to be a lot. And that's okay because most of you are going to graduate coaching. After 4, you graduate. Now you can opt back in. We've talked about that and we'll talk about it more. But at a max, you stay in coaching for 12 deals if you opt back in 3 times. So then you have the rest of your goals on top of that. That would still take place. And my job is to help you reach there. Katrin, you got one more thing to add?
Yes, to Shanita's point, and as you mentioned, build your book of business, but I would just start playing around with command. Go in command, add yourself as a contact, and then in command, try to set up, you as a small plan, you as maybe a market update and see how this works and the emails that you're getting and the information that command spits out back to you. So I think this is a great tool just to play around with and then just add everybody possible to command that you know. And we kind of, I guess, we'll talk about it next week, but your community, your church, your doctors, your childcare, your neighbors, your friends, your work friends, whatever it is, you have a cycle of people that come and go in your life, but everybody that you know should be really in command as well. And as you build up command, you will get more versed in command because command is, I think, really helpful for doing things like the automatic follow-up, the small plans. So you don't have to necessarily call every single day or follow up. And then I would really highly suggest CBR MLS. Just look under our office listings, see what's out there, who are the agents, and just see how long the house has been on the market. Maybe if there's an open house, swing by, introduce yourself, network with the other KW agents. These are like all the things you can do leading up.
Yes. So like Katrin said, we're going to talk about that next week too. We'll make an idea and a strategy of all the things you can do to communicate with A, people you already know, and B, new people like you meet at open houses. The beauty in that's going to be in the follow-up. So we'll talk about all those things next week, but keep doing what you're doing. You're on all the right tracks. And if anybody needs anything, let me know.
Tomorrow's our Christmas party. Don't forget.
Yes, I will be late because I have an 11 o'clock, but I should be there. Everybody else should be there on time. Lots of yummy food and people. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.